Let's go. Week number 2, World of Matchups is back in the house. Spencer the Wiz on the other side of the glass. Dexter Reed, Las Vegas, Nevada, guys. You know what this is. You know what we do. We are here to pick winners, all right, against the spread. Week number 2, the slate is up and ready. Spencer, how are you?
I'm good. And as a teacher, having NFL Sunday, having Monday, Thursday, and Sunday to look forward to, it really helps me through my week. I don't go to a school full of like a bunch of football people, but I am. So like every day, like when I go to school, I know like when I get home, especially because I live in the city like far away, like pretty much when I get home, I'm like getting ready for football, and it's just so nice.
The best feeling in the world, man. It's Christmas for guys like you and me, and for the people who are watching this show. Let's get into the quick hitters. First game, Green Bay, the Packers, who come up with a big win versus the Bears. They head to Atlanta. They're plus 1.5. I'm telling you right off the bat, I like the Packers here. I like the Packers here for a lot of different reasons. Desmond Ridder, I'm just not a big believer in Desmond Ridder. They only throw the ball a handful of times. If they get down in that game at all, they're in big trouble. They have pieces that they do not use. Drake London had no catches. Kyle Pitts is just wasting away on this team. If Green Bay's front can just hold down Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, I will take those points all day long. X factor here, Jordan Love. I think he's better than people think. I think once you get the stench of Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay, now you can actually cook with some new groceries, and I think that this is going to be a game that surprises a lot of people. I know Atlanta's defense and secondary is better than advertised, but I think Romeo Doubs is a very slept-on wide receiver, and I'm taking the Packers here all day, every day, and twice on Sunday if you're giving me 1.5 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the Packers as well. I love the Packers last week against the Bears. I kind of talked to you about it a little bit. I was so off on the Bears this week, or on this year, and the first week proved it. My pick of the week was the Steelers, which is so unfortunate because I had some other really good picks. Like I liked the Raiders last week, and I liked the Packers, but we're gonna see it here. I don't think that Desmond Ridder has a home loss yet. I think he's 3-0. He's gonna get his first one here. Yeah. And Jordan Love, they look really solid, and I kind of knew that they were a good team. They were a good team with Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but it wasn't just Aaron Rodgers. They invest every first-round pick for the past 20 years on defense, so that they're always going to be pretty good. And Aaron Jones is easily one of the best running backs in the league. Just quickly forgotten. This is disrespectful line. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Packers win pretty solidly. I'm definitely going to put the Packers on some teasers at least.
I think they win the game going away. Their secondary is very good. Jair Alexander's a top 3 cover corner in this league. That's all you need to know. Next, the Raiders. They head to Buffalo. They're plus 8.5. I'm telling you flat out, this is my best bet of the week. I like Buffalo in a absolute rout for a lot of different reasons. Number one, they cannot play any worse than they played on Monday night when the Jets stole a win. Number two, the last time we saw them playing any meaningful football in Orchard Park, they were being dismantled by the Cincinnati Bengals. Number three, DeMar Hamlin actually made the team, and whether he even plays or not, that's got to galvanize their franchise. Look, the window for an NFL team is closing for the Bills faster than any other team. If they don't win the Super Bowl this year, I think they are absolutely done with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. Somebody called him the white Jameis Winston this week in one of my chats, and I almost fell to pieces. Look, they're clearly better than the Raiders. The Raiders don't have a good secondary. Stephon Diggs is disgruntled. I think they throw the ball all over the yard and just get right back to everything that they know that they can do as a franchise. Just stop being reckless with the football, Josh Allen, and this is a 31-13 final.
I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think I was I don't know if I would say surprised. Like the Raiders game last week was so weird. It's almost like you couldn't really evaluate the team. There was like 6 offensive possessions. It was just very long possessions on each side. There's going to be a lot more in this game, obviously. Buffalo plays a lot faster. I think Max Crosby is good for a sack or two. I mean, that was a big problem in the Jets game. I'd love to see Marcus Peters get an interception here. I do have a feeling this game is going to be closer than many people think. The team has a different feel with Jimmy G. There's no doubt about it. And I kind of could see that coming. He's just more professional. He runs the offense a little bit better. I don't know. I think Buffalo's going to win, but I think the Raiders cover. I could see the Raiders winning this game and stealing one. I think a few sacks, a couple of turnovers, and those long possessions the Raiders have, I think they can continue doing that against Buffalo. And I like this whole reporter thing with Stephon Diggs. He's already disgruntled. They had the whole hot mic thing happen too with the reporter. I like the distractions going on around the teams. And also just think back to many years for the Raiders. Think about the Chandler Jones situation now. It's not affecting the team, obviously. In week 1, it was no problem. How many Raiders teams in years past have had decent teams that go 8-8 because they have all these off-field distractions like Henry Ruggs and all this kind of junk? It's still happening this year. They've had dumb penalties, and yet they still won last week. Those are things that are very encouraging as a Raiders fan. Different energy about the team. I'm going to take the Raiders plus 4.5.
Well, it's plus 8.5.
You're kidding me.
Plus 8.5.
Oh,
Vegas thinks that they're going to mob, and so do I.
I don't think so.
Next, the Ravens. They head to Cincinnati to take the Bengals. The Ravens are plus 1.5. I like the Ravens. No, I like the Ravens here, man. No, 3.5, excuse me. I like the Ravens here. I really, really do. I think Cincinnati, there's a couple teams that are in danger of going 0-2, and these are like Super Bowl contending teams. And I think the Bengals are in big trouble here. They played absolutely horrific last week, And, is Joe Burrow okay? Is he okay? They kind of rushed him back and paid him really quickly and then threw him on the field. I mean, how does T. Higgins have 0 catches on eight attempts? How's that possible? This is a division game. Ravens play tough. They didn't look great last week versus the Texans, but this is a division game. These black and blue games are always like 1-point games. Now, they lose J.K. Dobbins. That's a pretty big loss. And they really haven't let Lamar do much. I mean, last week he looked very pedestrian, but this is going to be the type of game that reminds me of the game that the Ravens played in the playoffs in Cincinnati last year, where Tyler Huntley was 1 play away from winning that game then, and they didn't have Lamar. You can't tell me they can't put together this same kind of effort. Zay Flowers is an absolute beast, and I think that secondary in Cincinnati got worse, not better. Everyone's going to be expecting Cincinnati to bounce back in a big way, and maybe they win, but they're not covering that 3.5.
I'll take Cincinnati here at home. I remember that game last year where the Packers laid an absolute egg week 1, and everyone was like, oh, the Packers are going to be the worst team in the league, and then they kind of quickly recovered, especially that next week. I do think a lot of these teams let the off seasons just roll right into week 1, and week 1's extremely unpredictable. The Browns played a heck of a game, and there's no doubt about it. I expect them to get back on track. Baltimore doesn't look, I don't know. There was so much hype in the offseason. Odell caught like 1 pass, and Zay Flowers did look good. It's good for my
He's good,
team.
man.
But I'll take that. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination, especially seeing a division game. But I could see Cincinnati getting a late touchdown and kind of putting this thing out of reach. And, Lamar just continues to look just all right. New offensive coordinators, those things are kind of hard in the beginning of the year. And then you roll into a division matchup. Cincinnati's not going to want to lose 2 divisional games in a row. So I'll take Cincinnati to cover here.
Keep in mind, guys, that this is almost like week 1 is almost like preseason for these guys because they cut the preseason down. I think that, a lot of these teams are feeling themselves out. And I think Baltimore was just kind of going through the motions. I think Todd Munch is going to unleash Lamar tomorrow. 3.5 is too much for me. I'm sorry. Next. Since in the Seattle Seahawks, they travel to Detroit, coming off the biggest win of the season so far versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They are getting 4.5 points. I like Detroit. I was telling you and everybody who would listen from last year about Detroit. Detroit's going to the playoffs. I love their coach. He is fantastic. I like their skill players. While I think they still should have taken Jalen Carter, I think not taking Jalen Carter should be punishable by death. It's a felony. I still like their skill players and what they showed on Thursday night last week, and they're only going to get better when they get Jameson Williams back. Jared Goff has not really gotten the flowers he deserves. He's been playing really well last year. He played great on Thursday, and Jahmyr Gibbs is the X factor here. Cincinnati looks slow. They look stiff. The Rams are horrible. How do you lose at home to the Rams? Opening day is an absolute disgrace, and I think that this is the biggest game in Detroit since their last playoff game like a bazillion years ago, and they are fired up. They are Gardner, that guy Gardner they got from Philadelphia has gotten everybody galvanized on the defense. Aiden Hutchinson is a man possessed. I think they cover this 4.5 easily. Do not be scared to lay points. A touchdown, 2 field goals, covers here. Detroit is on a mission, and I'm telling you right now, they're going to be a tough out for whoever they play. Granted, Kansas City lost the game versus them winning the game, but they still went home with the dub.
Yeah, that last week was just very weird for Seattle. I mean, it was just like the stinker game of the week, to be honest with you. I don't even know if I'd like call it an upset. Like, Seattle just didn't look good as a football team. I think part of it can be that Geno Smith may be coming down to earth a little bit. You know, good for him for having a great season. I know he got a little bit of money this offseason, which is great. You know, like for a guy who's really worked really hard in his career, to be honest with you, hasn't always had the success, and he did. But he's got 3 great wide receivers, and they just couldn't do anything. And I don't like the attitude of DK Metcalf either. The cheap hit at the end because he's mad. These wide receivers, and you see it all the time, like A.J. Brown complaining on the sideline because they were up by 2 touchdowns. It's a very bizarre position, and I think that having a 3-headed monster may not be a great thing for Seattle. I don't know. I feel like the easy choice here is Detroit, but for some reason, it just feels like one of those games where it's like, oh yeah, Detroit will, steamroll through and they'll just be good to go 2-0. The Seahawks are on a downward slide. I'm going to take Detroit, but there's something in my gut that tells me that Seattle's just going to have a great second game, and Detroit is known for letdowns and everything like that. It's just all setting up that way. But, for the sake of Detroit, I hope they turn a leaf and can actually win some games they're supposed to, because we know throughout their history, literally their entire history, they've let down every single season.
I mean, this is X Factor. Devin Witherspoon is going to get his debut here for Seattle, and that kid is a dog. Should be a good game. Oh, man, he should have been a Raider, but that's another program. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers. They fly to Tennessee to take on touchdown Tennessee Titans. They're -2.5. I think this should be a resounding victory for the Chargers, even without Austin Eckler, who is out with an ankle injury. Tennessee's horrible. They're horrible, okay? Peter Skoronski, their rookie, has been sick. He may or may not play. I know Derrick Henry's still Derrick Henry, but he's on the other side of 30. D-Hop is hurting. I mean,
he played 1 week with Ryan Tannehill, and he's like, I think my leg
Ryan Tannehill is an absolute stiff. I mean, he is a bum. Chiggy Okonkwo has no catches. I can't trust Treylon Burks. I mean, if there is just a more boring team in the National Football League than Tennessee, I want to know who they are, because they just don't inspire me at all. I think this is going to be an MVP caliber season for Justin Herbert. I think receivers like Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams are going to eat like it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. Sprinkle in a little Joshua Kelly. Field goal covers this game. This is an absolute lock bet for me. I take the Chargers going away.
Yeah, this got to be one of my best bets of the week for sure. Like, if I have to pick one, and I think it's going to be the Chargers. They're pissed after last week. They should have won that game. Chargers always do. That's how the Chargers
are going to charge her.
Tennessee is going to get the brute force of this attack here, and they're going to absolutely decimate them. The lines for Tennessee are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This number they're getting is from the respect from last season, and that's it. DeAndre Hopkins is already hurt. It looks like he's already kind of halfway out the door for them. He got his paycheck. Yeah, but it is what it is. He got his paycheck. He's doing it. And maybe he's just waiting around for the next quarterback to come in, and then suddenly he'll feel healthy again. Yeah. I think the Chargers blow them out of the water here.
Yeah, it should be a resounding Charger victory. I mean, I think D-Hop is Julio Jones 2.0. He wanted the money. He got paid. He's going to fade into obscurity. Don't waste too much time overthinking this one, guys. The Chargers should roll. Next, the Bears flying to Tampa. Tampa had a nice, impressive win. I mean, I know it's over the fraudulent Vikings, but that's a good win. Baker Mayfield's out there talking, smack. Moxie was flowing. They were feeling good. Mike Evans looked good. Godwin looked good. Jad White looked good. I mean, 2.5 they're giving to Chicago. Chicago is horrible. You want to talk about just a moron of a coach. Matt Eberflus. Get Get this guy out of there. Spencer texted me this week. He's like, how the hell did they ever think this is going to work with Matt Eberflus? And I'm just like, yep. I swear, sometimes Spencer texts me at the exact time that I'm thinking something.
Yeah, the game wasn't even on, but I think I was watching
it.
some other football game, and it just annoyed me.
It just annoys me that Eberflus is the coach of this team. I mean, you got horrible coaching, and here's another team. How is Jalen Carter not on Chicago? What's wrong with you guys, man? I don't know what you're thinking. Free Justin Fields. Literally, like, if this guy doesn't channel his inner Mike Vick, they're not going to win very many games because they don't let the guy throw. How does freaking DJ Moore have 3 targets? Come on, Chicago. Get it together. Roshan Johnson should be starting. They got major problems. Cole Kmet is rotting away. I know it's only 3 points, but a field goal wins it. I like what Tampa did. And look, Tampa's D is still good, even though Carlton Davis is not going to be out there. Devin White's still there. I mean, look, Tom Brady didn't rape the cupboard completely bare. They have something to prove. Baker's got something to prove, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be the surprise 2-0 team of the 2023 National Football League season. You heard it here first. Field goal wins it. Don't be scared. The Bears are horrible.
Yeah, there's a few things in this game, and I was texting my buddy. I said, what's the difference between Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr? I said, Baker Mayfield has a playoff win. That's the difference between the two of them, and that was what happened the last time he had something to prove. I'm not saying he's great, but he's definitely a good quarterback. He got really bad shakes following his trade from Cleveland, right? He goes to the worst team in the NFL or one of them, and then he gets to the Rams and he's just like, fumbling through the playbook trying to make it to the end of the season. This is a decent team. He's got good weapons on there. He's got a good running back. He's got good wide receivers. Nothing overly impressive, but that's just how Baker Mayfield is. You're never going to get anything too great. But they're a decent football team. They're middle of the road. They're going to pick up some wins here, and that's just the opposite of Chicago. I talked about it last season. They did have like the most cap space, an unreasonable amount of cap space, and that you would think that's a good thing, but having too much cap space is bad. You start paying a bunch of people because you want to fill the team in one off season, and that's just not how it works. I think having a reasonable amount of cap space and having targeted players that you want to go after is a much better place to be in. Plus, this guy was a new GM. Trades a second-round pick for Chase Claypool. The guy doesn't even look like he should be on the football field.
That guy is a bum. That guy should be out of the league.
They traded a second-round pick for this guy. It's unbelievable. That's a bad trade. So
it's a bad move,
I just think it's a mess. Okay, the Eberflus thing is just like what UNLV does every single year with basketball when they go through their rotation of head coaches. Let's bring back the running Rebels. And those are just old philosophies. Eberflus was a defensive guy. The Bears are like, oh, we're known as a defensive identity. It's not how the NFL works anymore. You have to evolve with the game. And Chicago, they drafted a quarterback who wants to do it, but they didn't surround him by anything to get him there. Eric Bieniemy should have been the head coach of the Bears. I think it's an easy decision. They didn't do it, and now here they are. They have less cap space now from signing all these guys. They have talented players, but nobody to put them in place. So I like Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Let's roll. Kansas City, they're in trouble, folks. I love my Chiefs, but let's be honest. They're going to fly to Jacksonville, a very upstart team, a team who is on the rise. Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne Jr., Evan Ingram, and now you bring in Calvin Ridley, who looks like the second coming of Jerry Rice. I was watching some of his routes versus the Colts. Bro, he had dudes on ice skates.
So good.
He's so good, man.
Getting rid of him after his little gambling scandal was one of the dumbest, quick little we got to get rid of this guy right now. It's so dumb.
That kid's an absolute beast. The Chiefs come in. Chris Jones finally stops the nonsense. Travis Kelce is on his way back, although gimpy. I think the Chiefs have a lot of problems right now because they really haven't had time to put this cake in the oven and get it fully baked. So you're trying to do it in season now. And it's going to be problematic because you beat this team in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Josh Allen said he wasn't fully right for that game, and now he's coming for Patrick Mahomes. The bookends worry me. I mean, the interior of the Kansas City Chiefs line is always going to be solid. But the problem that I really have with this game, the problem that I always have with these Chiefs wins and losses is that Andy Reid makes dumb moves. I mean, their short yardage package to me is the worst in the National Football League. If the Chiefs have to get 1 yard, they're going to throw the ball down the field for 50 yards because they just got no one that can do it except Isaiah Pacheco, and they just refuse to use this guy. Free Isaiah Pacheco. Hashtag this, folks, because it absolutely has to happen. I'm taking Jacksonville plus 3.5 here. If the Chiefs win, they're going to barely win. This is going to be a fired-up Jags team that took apart the Colts, and they're on the rise. Trevor Lawrence, low-key for MVP. You'll make money on that.
Yeah, he had some just missile throws in that game, and it's cool to see his development. I'm glad to see a team that was actually committed to developing their players. Like, you just see it time and time again. Like, I think back to like Josh Rosen and stuff. The guy's career ended before it started. Just the whole situation they put him through. You know, even after a disastrous start, they're like, all right, no more of the flashy picks. No Urban Meyers. Let's get a head coach who's proven. He was ready there. Doug Peterson, he comes in. He loves his quarterback, a guy who's seen success. And then they invested around him. They didn't get him the top-end wide receivers, you know, and overpay people. They got Evan Ingram. They brought in the kid from Arizona. They brought in Calvin Ridley. Like, you know, under-the-radar moves. And you're seeing it this year, developing him. And it's good. I don't know what's going to happen in this game, to be honest with you. I think KC has a big boost having their guys back. We'll see Chris Jones, though. Excuse me. It's hard. It's hard when you take a week off. And, you know, when you hold out for a long time, I'm not saying the guy's an incredible football player and maybe he'll have the game of his life, but it's difficult. I mean, come on. The football games are insane. I don't think he's going to be on a limited count, but he's definitely probably going to get gassed at some point. He was eating, I think, popcorn during week one. It was a weird look. But Travis Kelce there is going to be a big problem. This is going to be a good game. I'm surprised this isn't like a
later game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it's last year in the playoffs, so I'm going to take Kansas City.
You're going to take the money to 3.5, man.
I'll take it. I'll take Kansas City. I think that, you know, just all the new faces in the locker room, it's good. They're a great football team, but I wouldn't be shocked if Jacksonville won. Just, there's a lot in the line here.
I don't think they'll win, but I think they're going to cover the 3.5, man. The Chiefs kick a game-winning field goal. That half-point hook is going to come back and bite some people. I know football, man. Home dogs favorite. And I know my team, man. I've seen games like this before. Let's roll. Next, Indianapolis Colts fly to Houston. Houston's -1.5. This is a pretty ugly game. I like Anthony Richardson more than most people do. Guy did kind of get banged up at the end of that game last week. But what I don't like here is the fact that there's no Jonathan Taylor, and you basically got Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, a bunch of scrubs behind him. They have no real run game. Houston's D looked pretty good versus the Ravens for a minute there. I like DeMeco Ryans as the coach in Houston. They do have some good pieces that didn't do much. I mean, C.J. Stroud is a good quarterback. He might do a little bit better here in his home opener. I do like Dalton Schultz to finally show something. He didn't do much last week. You know, they have good running backs. For some reason, I think that they're going to cover this 1.5. I really do. I think it's going to come off the play of special teams, some kind of fumble recovery, a pick six. Something's going to happen. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Anthony Richardson's still a rookie. He's still a rookie. And this is his first road start. I know he had his family in the stands last week. It's a different animal on the road anywhere, even versus the worst team in the league. I'm going to take Houston -1.5 here, just basically on a hunch. I'm not a lover of the Indianapolis Colts. I think Pittman is not going to do much this year. I know he scored last week, but they don't throw the ball. They don't have a tight end. What are they doing? I don't like it. I just don't like it at all. So I have to take Houston here.
Yeah. This is a weird football game for sure. It's just kind of like mid versus mid. I'm leaning towards Indy because they have a much better defense, and I think that you can get a couple turnovers from C.J. Stroud. He didn't have any last week. He looked pretty good. He's just one of those guys, like those rookies, who's just gonna, I think, play it safe. And I don't know if you can do that against Indy. They have some of the most talented defensive players in the NFL, like silently on there. So I think that's going to be enough when you have a rookie quarterback going against each other. Anthony Richardson did look pretty good last week. I liked what I saw. They're rookies, too. It's going to take time for these guys to develop. You know, this is just going to be one of those, like, which rookie QB can make less mistakes? Fact. And I think that leans towards C.J. Stroud, but I think that you can get a turnover out of C.J. if you're the Indianapolis, defense. So we'll see. I'll take Indy here, but I don't know what's going to happen in this game. It's just kind of one of those 10 o'clock games.
Rookie matchup, futures rookie matchup. X Factor here, Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Houston Texans. Watch for him, guys. Next, San Francisco 49ers, who absolutely dismantled Pittsburgh. They go to LA to take on the Rams. Rams had a nice win last week versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Niners are minus 7.5 here. I don't think they cover this. I know everyone's going to think that they cover this. Guys, this is a divisional game. Rams defense still has Aaron Donald. They're still a good team, despite the fact that Cooper Kupp is out with a lingering hamstring injury. I'm going to put this out there right now. I don't wish anything bad on anyone, but I think Cooper Kupp may not play this year. A lot of people are going to disagree with that. Take that information and do with it what you like. I like the Rams here at home at SoFi. Puka Nacua, he blew up last week. Now he's got the oblique. He is a rookie. But those targets got to go somewhere, man. Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson. Cam Akers is still there. Didn't do much last week. This could be the type of game where people are expecting a lot nothing out of him, and he gives you a lot. The Kyron Williams of the world. They have a bunch of no-name pieces, but these guys can produce to the tune of holding 7.5 down in their building. I know Nick Bosa is God. I know they have tons of weapons, and they're a Super Bowl contender in San Francisco, but something tells me that you take 7.5 as home dogs pay dividends. Spencer, I've been telling you this since I met you, and I've watched this transpire over again in this league. So I'm going with the Rams here plus the points.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the Rams are a solid football team. You know what I mean? And
McVay's a good coach.
He's a good coach. They looked really good on offense. Matthew Stafford looked good last week. I'll take that too. I think. If it was like 3.5, I'd be like, all right, San Francisco, if I get 7 points in the hook at home against a division rival, like you've seen some of the worst teams ever in division games, keep it close. That's just the nature of football. So I'm going to take the Rams too. I agree with you.
Yep. Next, the New York Football Giants coming off the most embarrassing loss at home in probably the history of the National Football League. Fly to Arizona and State Farm Stadium to take on the Cardinals, led by Josh Dobbs. The Giants are minus 4.5. I'm here to tell you that I can't take the Giants here, man. I like the Cardinals. I do.
Really?
I do, man. Home dogs pay dividends. I have no faith in Daniel Jones at all. I never have.
Oh, I don't know.
I watched the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, take on this Arizona Cardinal team last week. I watched a lot of that game. Cardinals defense is better than people think. They will play hard in their building. Who are the blow-up players for the Giants besides Saquon Barkley? They're going to stack that box. Darren Wallace's hamstring fell off on the way to the stadium. They have just a bunch of ancillary pieces on their wide receiver core. You watched that game on Monday night. Sunday night. They got taken apart. Now, Dable is a good coach. I like Brian Dable, but that was horrible. You couldn't score 3 points in your own building. Now you're on the road. I know there's no real home field advantage there, but I just like home dogs, man. I don't trust the Giants because they don't score. Now, maybe they go off, but I've watched the Cardinals special teams make play after play. They remember that play versus you guys to win that game? They're a decent special teams. They have a decent defense. Yes, their offense stink, but they still have James Conner. I think they can do enough to cover the number.
I'm going to go with the Giants here. I think that's just a really salty taste in their mouth. And you say Josh Dobbs, I say the holding place for Caleb Williams for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And I think the Giants recover here. Darren Waller, it was so funny. Like at the time the trade went down, everyone was like, this is the worst trade in Raiders history. You give up a top tight end. It's like, do you think this guy was going to suddenly get healthy by moving across the country? Because that's not really how it works. This guy has like chronic problems. He's releasing rap videos. He's got everything going on except football. And that didn't change. And maybe even got worse by moving to New York, to be honest. Yeah, I wish him the best of luck. I don't hate the guy or anything, but, it's just, I don't know what people expected when Darren Waller came there. He wasn't going to suddenly become healthy and dealing with the same problem every year. It's a lingering thing every week. Same thing the Raiders had to deal with the last 2 years. Right. With that said, the Giants are a much better football team. Arizona is not really motivated to win any football game, obviously, with the way that they've situated their team. But they were competitive. It was pretty interesting to see them last week. They really, especially defensively, it looked like the new head coach kind of has them on the right page. But I'm going to take the Giants here. They're not going to go down 0-2 and lose to the Cardinals this week.
Yeah, you never know. I don't think they will either. But the Cardinals can still cover this for. I mean, Darren Waller's going to be hurt all year. Zach Ertz is back. I think they'll do enough to stay in this game in front of their fans. I've been to that stadium plenty of times. Their fans will still show up. Next, New York Football Giants, who stole a win versus the Buffalo Bills. They head to Jerry's World, and the Dallas Cowboys, who I'm telling you straight out of the gate, folks. And if you don't believe this, have your head examined. The Dallas Cowboys are in the Super Bowl hunt. Okay?
Definitely, 100%.
The Dallas Cowboys are in the Super Bowl hunt simply because they have a good defense. I will even go on record as saying is they have the best defense in the National Football League, and it got better. We clowned the Mazi Smith pick. It mattered on Sunday Night Football. Now you can't just run on them. And they have great pieces on all over their offense. I'm a little worried about Tony Pollard because he's smaller. Deuce Vaughn is even smaller than that. And Rico Dallo, who is that guy? So their running game worries me. Dak always concerns me, but they can win games on their defense alone. 8.5 points. I don't think that's even enough for Zach Wilson, who is trash. Zach Wilson is a backup quarterback. He is just better than a practice squad quarterback. That might be the worst quarterback pick since Jamarcus Russell, and now he's your guy. I would go out and get Carson Wentz. I'd go out and get Colin Kaepernick. I'd get anyone but that guy. Garrett Wilson needs and deserves a better quarterback. That kid's a head case with a loud-mouthed mother. They're in big trouble here. Dallas is going to steamroll them after that victory versus the Giants, and they're going to take down the two New York teams who stay holding L's. New York has just been holding L's on every facet of life for years now, and it doesn't change here. The Jets get their doors blown off when they face Dallas. Lay the 8.5. Don't be scared.
Yeah, I'll take Dallas too. I think that when a new quarterback comes in, you just don't game plan for it. That's the little wiggle room that Zach Wilson was able to be successful. You know, he did just enough, but yeah, I think that the little roses and everyone kind of saying like, oh, maybe, Zach Wilson is pretty good. He'll be able to, lead them into the playoffs. It's just getting overblown. The whole Aaron Rodgers thing and, oh, maybe he'll be back by the playoffs or something like that. It's all a bunch of hooey. It's all a bunch of hooey. Yeah, so I think, Dallas looks like they're on a warpath, but it's only week one. It's just so hard.
It's week one.
The week between week 1 and week 2. It feels so long,
It's like a different NFL.
Yeah, it's
crazy. I think you're going to see the real NFL this week. Week 1 was almost like a preseason for a lot of these guys.
It really is. And it's like, you get the extra game in the season. That's like the extra preseason week, pretty much.
That's what it's like.
So we'll see. I think that,
coming off an emotional, huge win like that, I can easily see them flying to Dallas. And
I think the adrenaline wears off. And
game is over at halftime. I'm telling you, CeeDee Lamb is a guy to watch in this game. Him and Sauce Gardner are going to be going at it. Next, Washington Commanders. They fly to Denver to take on the Broncos. Broncos minus 3.5. Commanders steal a win at home versus the Arizona Cardinals. They looked okay. I think that, the Jets here, they're going to go to Denver and they're going to face a really pissed off Denver team who I don't know how you lose that game to the Raiders. I really don't.
After the botched punt penalty,
I just don't see
in
it.
The end zone,
how do you do it?
That's
a bad loss at home. Javonte Williams coming off the ACL looked okay. P. Ryan. Jerry Jeudy's going to be back. Jerry Jeudy's such a slept-on wide receiver. If he could ever stay healthy and get a quarterback to get him the ball, he's 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Sean Payton will have this guys ready. And what I think a lot of people are forgetting is that the Broncos' defense is good, man. They just haven't been playing up to their potential. They got some of the best cover corners and linemen in the entire league. I see Sam Howell getting sacked at least 5 times in this game. They're going to lock Jahan Dotson down. McLaurin's got the toe injury. Look, I don't like Washington at all, but I really don't like them on the road here. I know they got a W last week. Chase Young's neck is falling off. All signs are pointing to Denver bouncing back here now. It could be a 3-point win where you lose with the hook here. But I'm still going to lay the 3.5 with Denver. I just like them to bounce back. The AFC West is a dogfight every week. They're good home teams, and I just cannot see Washington flying into Mile High Stadium with oxygen tanks and walking out with a W. I just can't see it.
Yeah, I think last week was more about how competent the Raiders are versus how incompetent Denver is. I really think the Raiders are a little underrated this year. Denver's not losing twice at home, and especially
No,
against a team like Washington. I think
no.
you're going to see how good Denver is. I think they look like a pretty good football team. Russell Wilson
Coaching
looked a lot
matters,
better last
Spencer.
week. Yeah, I love Denver. I'm going to put them on a lot of my teaser cards and probably even just a few like two teamers this week.
Yeah, I take them straight out. I
Yeah.
love Denver this week. I think they're going to murder Washington. Sam Howell is, a little bit better than a glorified backup. I mean, he didn't do much last week at all. A lot of short dump off passes, a lot of yak. That won't be happening in Mile High Stadium.
Nope.
Next, Sunday Night Football. This game is going to be really, really good. Game of the week, in my estimation, where the Dolphins, who flashed hard versus the Chargers. Boy, let me tell you something. Like I just said about the Cowboys, guys, the Miami Dolphins are in the Super Bowl hunt too. They are. Whether you want to believe it or not, you do what you want with that information. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be shocked to see Miami and Dallas in the Super Bowl at all because their defense is okay. It's going to get better when they get Ramsey back, and they got some of the best skill players in the entire league. Tyreek Hill is an alien. I know the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and I'm glad that it worked out for both parties, but this kid's on a mission, man. He's going to get 2,000 yards this year. Now, they fly to New England, where I think New England legit had a shot at winning that game last week versus the Eagles. In the end, they were a toe drag away. If that second foot comes down, Spencer, they kick a field and then send the Eagles back to Philadelphia with cheesesteak grease all over their hands because they got lucky. They had that game won. Bill Belichick is notorious for taking away the other team's best player. I've watched him do this a million times with Tyreek Hill. Will Tyreek still get his? Absolutely he will. But this game is going to be in New England. It's going to be cold. It's going to be raining. It's going to be under the lights where Bill is God. And then you're going to give me 3.5 points? Stop it, bro. Stop it. Stop it. New England with the upset. Home dogs pay dividends. Let's go.
You said it's going to rain?
Off and on.
Okay, if it's a weather game, I'll take New England. I feel like I think
he's gonna take Tua out of this game.
Yeah, I think if it's raining and you got small hands, it's going to be a little rough. And I'm pretty sure that was like a big thing about Tua coming out of the draft is that he has small hands. So you put those two things together, they have a very bad running game for sure. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll take New England plus the 3.5 at home. I think, after that, it's the first week, I'm telling you. I mean, even in the second half, the Patriots look more like mid-season form.
Yes.
And Mac Jones looked pretty good too. So
dude, Mac Jones
he's
going
to
to
have him ready for this
yards.
game.
He's going to do. Bill will have them ready.
Division game. I think that New England. It's been a long time, if I'm not mistaken, since New England beat Miami. I'm pretty sure that's true. So I'm going to take them. They're going to break the streak here. I might a little sprinkle on the money line for New England, maybe.
I think they're going to win the game outright. New England losing 2 at home under Belichick. Go look those numbers up and get back to me.
Yeah.
Next, the Saints Monday night. They got 2 Monday night games this week. They go to Carolina to take on Bryce Young, #1 draft pick, and the Carolina Panthers, who, they're just very vanilla, very mid. I mean, they're going to not be in a whole lot of games. They're home dogs here. They're getting 3.5 points from the Saints here, who, look very good with Derek Carr, man. I'm telling you, Derek Carr and the Saints are going to have a good year. They got a good defense. Michael Thomas is going to be better than people think. Rashid Shaheed is coming out of nowhere, and Chris Olave is a budding star. Once they get Kamara back, I'm telling you, look out for the Saints. They're going to surprise a lot of people. They're definitely going to win that division. They're not as good as they are at home. I mean, on the road as they are at home. But that defense versus a brand new fresh face in this league, I'm telling you, Bryce Young better run or he's going to be in big trouble. I think the Saints cover the number on the road. I don't think they do it easily, but I think they do it simply because they're facing a guy who hasn't played a fantastic defense yet. Bryce Young is good. The Falcons' defense is okay. The Saints got some killers, man. You know what I mean? Cam Jordan is a killer. I mean, they got some killers on that defense. Lattimore, that guy's a killer. They're very quietly going to win 9 or 10 games and to win that division and go to the playoffs. I'm telling you, sometimes the best thing for you is to get a change of scenery, and I think that they did Derek Carr so dirty that he could not have landed in a better spot. I like them big on Monday night.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr gets into the playoffs and then loses them in the playoffs. I mean, he didn't look that great. I mean, he had the game-ending play. The streak was great. But other than that, same thing as the Raiders. He gets in the red zone. The guy starts losing the football, and The ball falls out of his hands. He looked terrible in the red zone again. This guy is not great in short yardage situations
at all.
I think their defense produced 3 turnovers, and he pumped out 16 points or something like that for the Saints. It was, I don't know. Derek Carr hasn't changed at all, man. He put on a different jersey. He doesn't look any better or any worse. He's going to make you play sometimes, and he's going to drive you insane and throw picks. But it's enough, right? The Saints have a much better defense than the Raiders do, and that's why they won that game. I mean, if Derek Carr put up that performance for the Raiders against the same team, they would have lost, and that was always the knock. He couldn't get it done. His defense did get it done for him, which the Raiders could never do. It's the same thing, but yeah, this is going to be a blowout. Bryce Young had a few turnovers against, the Falcons. What's he going to do against New Orleans? The defense is going to win them this game. Carr is going to have a decent one. Carolina's just bad, and that's just the.
And they're going to be bad. I mean, I know they're getting Thielen back. Hunter Henry is. I mean, not Hunter Henry. Who's their wide receiver? I mean, not the wide receiver, their tight end. They got a tight end who's decent, who will help a lot, but it just won't be enough because the defense is horrible. But they're building something there. I like what Frank Reich is doing. I mean, Bryce Young, a lot of people thought he was the pick, so now's your time to show it on the Delights Monday night, my man.
Yeah.
Next, and finally, the second Monday night game, the Cleveland Browns go to the Steel City of Pittsburgh to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, boy, they got beat up bad by the Niners in their own building. They are getting 3.5. Home dogs pay dividends. For some reason, I'm going to take the Steelers here. They just cannot be this bad. I mean, I know Deontay Johnson is out, but they have decent players still. You know what I mean? They got this rookie Calvin Austin. They got Najee Harris. Pat Freiermuth is very, very good. I think George Pickens is just waiting to turn into the next great receiver in this league. They got weapons. The offensive line is a little bit better. Now, this is a black and blue game. You still have to deal with a lot from the dog pound. Myles Garrett is a stud. Amari Cooper is Mr. Consistency for them. Now, that was a good place for him to fall. That really ended up being good for them. Peoples-Jones is good. They have to deal with Nick Chubb. Now, we got good players on the defense of the Steelers as well. So it was really interesting for me to see them get beat down so badly, and I think that defense, Fitzpatrick, they're going to take that personally and play a lot better. I see like a 17-14 win either way, but when I have a team who was lost, who's at home the next week, who got embarrassed at home, playing at home again in front of their fans, now you're under the lights, somehow, someway, Najee Harris has a decent game, and I'm going to take those points. I think they win the game outright, however, though. Cleveland is not that good.
No, they weren't, and I think it was just more of Cincinnati just wasn't ready to start the season. Deshaun Watson looks super pedestrian. So hard to lose 2 games at home to start the season. Pittsburgh is always their own worst enemy. I found this out because my buddy's a Steelers fan, and I always follow pretty much every team on Twitter. Yeah. But I found out that Broderick Jones, their first-round pick, and Joey Porter played like 8 snaps between the two of them. They did
play those guys
too. Why are you playing Trubisky over Kenny Pickett last year to start the season? How come you're not playing Joey Porter and Broderick Jones on your offensive? What are you doing? These are guys who you drafted really high. 2 players who I really liked in the draft, too, especially Joey Porter. Why is Patrick Peterson getting time over
ridiculous.
Joey Porter?
Patrick Peterson's a fossil.
Patrick Peterson's not going to be there next year. And it's just one of those things where they run their team super old-fashioned, where you got to earn your spot. You're a rookie. Come on.
I like Tomlin, but let these guys play. You drafted them for a reason.
It's just bizarre the way that they run their team. It's just old, and I don't know. I can't. There's no way the Steelers are that bad. I just refuse to believe it.
They have
momentum last year.
They
lost it all, but I don't
know.
They had a tough matchup in week 1.
It's opening day. It's almost like a preseason game. They're still trying to gel. The Niners are a very good team, man. Niners are Super Bowl
Pittsburgh puts up
too.
a stinker again, then I'm out.
Then we're in trouble. They have to put on a good showing here, whereas Cleveland has some rope to give. And I think when you have that, you're home under the lights.
Yeah.
Tomlin has never had a losing season. I can't see them losing this game at all. So I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
as,
me too.
especially if I do well on Sunday. I'm taking them Monday, no question. I love them on Monday, where everyone else is going to be on the Browns dog pound high. That's it for the slate, guys. World of Matchups coming to you guys live and direct, week in and week out. Next week we're back with week number 3. Doing it again with my A1 from day one, Mr. Spencer the Wiz. Like, subscribe. We thank you for the support, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Enjoy the games. We're out.
See ya.